Hello, I'm Per. In this video we're going to take a closer look at Soedermalm, the south side of Stockholm. I think it's the most interesting part of the city and it's where I live myself. Now I'm standing in Vita Bergen, or the White Mountains, a large park on the eastern side of Soedermalm. The church behind me is Sofia kyrka. Sofia kyrka was built in the early 20th century at the highest point in Vita Bergen. This is Vita Bergen in April, when magnolia trees and cherry trees are in full bloom. A few weeks later, at the end of May, lilacs will be in full bloom. Vita Bergen is very beautiful in the spring and a great place to take a walk or have a picnic. Fjällgatan is a street on the heights of Soedermalm, where you find this little cafe that is very popular among both locals and tourists because of the nice view over Stockholm harbor. Mosebacke is a place at the eastern parts of the heights, usually associated with the great novelist August Strindberg and his novel The Red Room. It is also the name of a very popular restaurant and nightclub. In the summer you can enjoy food and drinks on their terrace, which has a very nice view over Stockholm harbor. They often have live music outdoors in the summer, here with Tommy Löbel's swing band and the very talented singer Jenny Löbel.
A bird with a feather so blue is waiting for you back in your own backyard. You see a castle in Spain through your window pane, back in your own backyard. You can go to the east and go to the west, but someday you'll come where it's hard, back where you started from. Find your happiness lies right under your eyes, back in your own backyard.
Mariaberget, or the Mariah Mountain, is an area on the western side of the heights. With its tranquil streets and alleys, it bears some resemblance to the old town, but most of the buildings here are not that old. Monteliusvägen is a small path on the outside of Mariaberget. If you're a photographer looking for a nice view over the city, this is the place to go. Many photographers come here to take pictures, and so have I done. For example, I took this picture on a very cold winter evening a few years ago. Kinnaviksberget is another mountain on the western side of the heights, and a very popular place for picnics and photography. Further to the west lies Långholmen, a small island that serves mainly as a recreational area for the locals. The building behind me is Långholmens fängelse, an old prison. A prison for women was opened here in 1725. It later became a prison for both men and women, and new buildings were added. Sweden abolished the death penalty in the early 20th century. The last execution in Sweden took place here at Långholmen in 1910, when alleged murderer Alfred Ander was beheaded. The prison was closed in 1975, and today it has become a hotel. This is the cell block that is now part of the hotel. So here you can stay the night in an old prison cell if you want to try something different. The hotel also has a small museum where you can learn more about the history of the prison. Next to the hotel there is a small public beach, and the water is fine, although this is almost in the middle of the city. If you're into photography, you should definitely visit Fotografiska, the Museum of Photography, located here on one of the docks of Soedermalm. Fotografiska has exhibitions with the works of internationally famous photographers around the year. Fotografiska also has a very popular restaurant and nightclub at the top floor. In the summer, you can enjoy food and drinks on the terrace above, and they often have live music or disco dancing in the nightclub. At the leading culture destination awards in London in 2017, the restaurant at Fotografiska was chosen as the Restaurant of the Year, that is, the best restaurant at any museum in the world. So when in Stockholm, take a few hours to visit Fotografiska, see their exhibitions and have lunch or dinner in this restaurant. Fotografiska has a shop at the entrance where you can buy posters and books on photography. The museum also offers very fine courses in photography for both amateurs and professionals. I took this picture on my way to a seminar there a few years ago. If you take a walk along Årstaviken, or the Årsta Bay on the south side of Soedermalm, you'll see lots of small cabins with small gardens. Those are allotments. Allotments were introduced in the early 20th century. Fresh fruit and vegetables were scarce and expensive at that time, so the idea was to make it possible for poor people to grow their own by letting them lease a very small piece of land. There they could also build a cabin and spend quality time with their families. In today's modern economy, the need to grow your own vegetables no longer exists, unless of course you're very interested in gardening, but the allotments have remained. They make it possible for some people to have their own summer place right in the city, at a cost way below the market value. Some of the cabins have a very creative design, like this one, known as the Pagoda, which also has a very nice view over the water of Årsta Bay. This is the Årsta Bridge, built in the 1920s. It was renovated a few years ago and a new bridge was built next to it to increase the number of railroad tracks through Stockholm. Medborgarplatsen, or the Citizens' Place, is a large square in the middle of Soedermalm that really comes to life in the evenings when people come here to have dinner, drink beer, or both outdoors. Try that yourself and get a feeling of what life is like on Soedermalm. Here on Södermalm, in an area called Slussen, is where you find Stockholm's Stadsmuseum, the Stockholm City Museum. This museum is intended to preserve the city's history and cultural heritage, bring it to life and convey it to Stockholm residents, visitors and future generations. Here's a model of Gondolen, or the Gondola, a classic restaurant located near the City Museum. The gondola was built in the early 1930s and officially opened in 1935. The name does not refer to the gondolas of Venice in Italy, but the passenger gondolas of the airships that were common in the 30s, and it's easy to see why. The restaurant had problems back in the 1980s and was eventually closed in 1993. In 1994 it was acquired by the famous chef Erik Lallerstedt. Erik had a long career in the restaurant business behind him. His first job was actually as a portier at the famous Waldorf Astoria Hotel in New York. Erik put his heart and soul into improving this restaurant and made it one of the best in Stockholm. He has later handed over his company to his daughter Anna. In this part of the restaurant you can almost get the feeling of being in the gondola of an old airship. This is the bar at the gondola, a great place to sip a drink while enjoying the nice view over Stockholm Harbour. So if we're going to Stockholm on vacation, take a few days to explore Soedermalm, the south side of Stockholm. That's all for this time, and thanks for watching.